Start recording. I'm really excited to be here and so happy to have you. Welcome to our Back to School Success Session 1. Results are out. What now? This is the second annual Back to School Success series. And the second session will talk about the non-academic aspects of academic and non-academic success. And that's talking about a Thrive system and how to, support your child in increasing focus, time management, organization, the things we struggle with ourselves as parents, but that we always are, on our kids about and wish that they would do better. So today we're focusing on the academic pathways to college. I'm going to talk a little bit about future-proof majors. There is so much going on with AI right now, and we have to talk about it. And then, of course, we're going to be taking questions. So a little bit about me. I am a mom, first of all, and, this session is my first session as a mother of so many children, put it that way. I have a stepdaughter who is in university right now. She is in law school. I have a daughter who is 14, who is in 4th form, and she is at the American International School. She is in our AIM Early program and starts college in 2029, GASP. Can't believe how fast the time flies. And then I also have a son who is in the class of 2030. So everybody should be seeing the screen now, finally. And he is also in the AIM Early program. He's going into 2nd form at Campion. And last but certainly not least, I have newborn twins who are 6 weeks older. No, they're 7 weeks old. And I'm very much in the newborn trenches right now. And so any mom who is online right now, I know can relate to the kind of world I find myself in right now. I want to apologize, Chelsea, our original host, because some of the moms might be saying, why would Nicole do this to herself? In terms of doing this presentation tonight. Our original host had to cancel, she had an unavoidable emergency, and so we did not want to cancel the entire webinar. So I jumped in and said that I would do it. And so thank you for your patience with me tonight. I'm definitely usually more together in my head. But hopefully the things that I share with you tonight make sense. And as I said, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. All right, everybody's hearing me and seeing me well and seeing the presentation well. Let's, can I get a yes in the chat if all is well on that front? All right, perfect. Great, everyone is here. Fabulous. I recognize there's some familiar names. I usually share, ask people to share which cities they're coming from, but that's usually when we start on time and have more time. So I'm gonna jump right into it. I'm really happy we're connected tonight. So tonight we're here to talk about, first of all, the different pathways to university. At this point, results are out, which means major exam results for our Caribbean parents, that's CAPE and CSEC. And certainly a lot of the parents we've spoken to just want to know, does exploring this US pathway even make sense given my child's profile? Is the US still a pathway to explore given the latest political developments and just sort of geopolitics? And also, what is the right next step given my child's profile and results? So a lot of parents end up just guessing, or they end up being led by their child, which nothing is wrong with. I do want to just do a total disclaimer here that yes, this session is about empowering parents to help their child to create a plan, a custom plan, a success plan. But parents, if we impose things on our children, and you probably know this, imposing things on your kids that they do not want to do, that they don't have a say in, that they are not bought into, is not a path to success, does not work. And certainly you don't want them at the end of the day growing up saying, oh, it was my mom that made me do this, or my dad that made me do that. If it doesn't work out, right? I'm sure you can relate. So this is, yes, about you parents having the information to guide your child, but not about, you know, telling them that they need to do this or that. This is a partnership for sure. We just want you to have reliable info, because what we see with a lot of our parents is that they're led by their kids into decisions that were not properly thought through, didn't appreciate the nuances, didn't have all the information. You don't know what you don't know, or you have incomplete information. So the paths that we usually look at, agreed. Thank you, Sean, for sharing that. By the way, let me just also say, this is a live webinar. If you're watching the recording of this, you can't do this. But if you are here live, I'm asking you to follow the lead of Sean, especially tonight of all nights. If you agree with anything that I'm saying is making sense or resonating, just let me know in the chat. I am watching the chat. All right, so CAPE versus IB versus community college. What's the right route? Well, it depends on your child. So the number one question you need to ask, and you're gonna get a workbook that's gonna help you have, this needs to be a sit down, you know, you can make it special, take your child out to like a nice cafe or like a nice lunch, whatever. These are things that you need to discuss. You choose the next steps based on your end goal, because it's all about looking at the end goal and then building backward. You don't choose your path and then once you're on the path, you're figuring out the goal, because you need to make sure that the path is appropriate for the end goal. Does everybody agree with that? Does that make sense? Too many people just choose a path and then they're on the path and they're like, okay, what do we do next? We're not doing that. We are looking at the end goal and then building backwards. So let me give you some information about what path would suit where, or, you know, what end goal. Thank you. Thank you. Thumbs up to everybody in the chat. I feel so supported. All right. So for CAPE, CAPE is an advanced course of study, much like A-levels, British A-levels, right? IB, also an advanced course of study. Community college in the Caribbean normally has kids doing CAPE classes, and the community college in the US is normally a 2-year pathway to university, after which you can transfer to a 4-year and complete the degree. Now, if you're doing CAPE, again, this is considered advanced. In the US, advanced classes are AP classes, for example, advanced placement. Every single CAPE class is considered an advanced class, same with IB. And so CAPE also gives college credit. So CAPE will give you an advantage at all universities versus just completing CSEC. So if you want a world of options, CAPE and IB or CAPE via community college would definitely be a path to take. Now, when you look at CAPE or IB, that's a different conversation. We're on August the 28th. I'm sure people who are considering this would have already made this decision. But, you know, it's not a matter of one being better necessarily than the other. I personally believe that IB prepares students in a really solid way for the US system of, you know, discussion-led classes, having to come up with these original thoughts and ideas. IB is the International Baccalaureate Program. I'm so sorry, I should have made that clear. International Baccalaureate, that's what IB is. So I think it's really good prep for the US college system, but in terms from an admissions perspective, CAPE and IB are really viewed equally. Now, CAPE and IB also give you credits in college. So you are able at many colleges to get credits at most colleges. I would say at all, I've never encountered a university where CAPE at the right score or IB with the right score does not give credit. Some universities allow you to cut time off the degree, some just give you credit so you have more space to do, you don't have to do like prerequisite classes, etc. The International Baccalaureate program is offered by private high schools mostly. In Jamaica, it's offered in Kingston only at Hillel and the American International School of Kingston. And Cape is usually, widely offered. Now, when you're choosing these pathways, the other thing that you want to be really cognizant of is, again, end goal. What area or majors is my child considering and what's required for those majors? Because now you're getting into needing to have certain courses in order to get into the major that you need, right? So your CAPE courses, your IB courses, the courses you might choose to do at community college need to be geared toward what are the prerequisites for the things I either know I'm interested in studying or I'm probably interested in studying. Now, if your child is undecided, do we have any undecideds here? Let me know in the chat. If your child is undecided, then you want to select as widely as possible to leave options open, but they probably know the things they like and the things they don't like. So even if they don't know the exact major they want to do or the career, which is perfectly fine, they should have a sense of the general kind of direction to which they're leaning, which would then still allow them to select subjects that would give them options and range in terms of applying and in terms of getting into the universities that are the best fit. Being undecided and not knowing is not a problem in the United States of America. And we're going to talk about the different systems and where suits who. But in the US, many colleges really love undecided majors because you get a chance to explore. That system is geared toward exploration, which we'll cover in a few slides, right? And so it's fine, but you do have to articulate interests. I do want to just mention lastly on the subject of CAPE versus IB versus community college that you really want to make sure that you do read as well as possible. Like the path is important, but the performance is really important. These are like the most critical years because they're the closest years to actually going to college. So colleges look at those like extra. So it's really important. So again, just in summary, you want to think about what is your end goal. If your end goal is wanting to have a competitive profile for universities globally, then you really do want to do these advanced courses of study like CAPE or the International Baccalaureate Program or CAPE via community college. If you want to go to community college and then transfer in your last 2 years to a 4-year university, that's also a really great pathway, especially for US citizens and green card holders. And I say that because transferring from a community college to a 4-year college as an international student, you're going to come into financial aid and scholarship problems because financial aid and scholarships are normally reserved for entering freshmen and not transfer students. But if you are a US citizen or permanent resident, this is such a winning pathway because it saves you so much money. Listen, parents, it is time to be smart. The world is changing. The world has changed. Gone are the days where you just need to have this big brand name college in order to be a success in life. I don't think those days were ever really here. I think that was marketing, okay? You heard it here first. You're like, what, Nicole? People think AIM is all about getting people into, Princeton. I went to Princeton, big up Princeton, nothing wrong with Princeton. Nothing is wrong with the Princetons and the Harvards and MITs. And every single year we have students going there and we help them to get there and it's great, but it's not a fit for everyone. And I'm increasingly concerned and AIM is really focused on helping students find success and find their fit. And that's our goal. to help them have successful lives, not just to like get into this brand name school or because, you know, this ranking says it's, you know, it's all about fit. And we have been doing this for 15 plus years. And trust me, I have seen students go to all kinds of different schools and also seen what they've graduated to do and are doing and the lives that they're building. And trust me, it's not about just, you know, fashioning yourself to a particular school. You want to try and maximize your scholarship dollars and be smart. And if you go to community college, it's so much cheaper than a four-year school. So just want to say that. When to start SAT prep. You do not want this to be a guess or an assumption. The rule of thumb, very easy, is to subtract 2 from the year your child is going to start college. Subtract 2. So my mush is starting college in 2029. So she should start SAT prep in 2027. For the purposes of this meeting, I went ahead and calculated when the twins would be starting college. And I told my husband, he was so frightened. He said, what have we done? 2043, if anyone is interested. I don't know if the SAT will, I'm not even going to comment on what's going to be happening in 2043, but let's move on. So it's very easy. Subtract 2 from the year your child is going to be started college. And that is the year you should start SAT prep. So for the twins, it would be 2041. Anyway, so if you are like, oh my God, my child started college in 2026, well, that just means you're very, very late, but you know, you do have a last shot at having them do it. It's just, we don't like that. It's more stress, it's more pressure. We're talking about doing the thing that introduces the best ease and flow. We are helping you to win with a system here. And the whole point of having a system is to get the best outcome. So again, subtract 2 from the year your child starts college. That's when they should start SAT prep. Now, before that, so for example, in our AIM Early program, we have a PSAT program. Now that helps students to develop early test taking skills, it introduces them to the questions, etc. The idea is not to really start building these skills as early as possible so that they don't feel under this pressure, because even when you start them prepping 2 years before they're going to university, the truth is that's only 15 months before they have to actually submit the application. And the SAT is only offered at certain times during the year, and there are certain times during the year where you don't want to do the SAT. So for example, when your child has major external exams like CSEC or CAPE, would you want your child to be doing CAPE or CSEC and then also be doing SATs? No. Why? It's too much. You don't have to if you start early. So even though 2 years sounds like a lot of time, it's not actually 2 years, and it's not a lot of time given the calendar and the different things that your child has to be doing as well. You want to time and sequence. So the PSAT starts even before that, and it's a really good idea to get going with that. All right, what majors will still matter in 2030 and beyond? We're going to talk about those in a second. We're going to talk about those in a second. I have to just pull something up because, of course, we're on plan B and I don't have 2 screens. So that's not really that fun. Okay. And then how to keep teens motivated or motivated and focused. And that's going to really be covered in session 2. We're not really going to talk about that here. All right. I'm sure you'll forgive me because instead of, you know, moving through the slides, I just talked through the slides. It's okay. The point is we have given the information. I didn't talk about pre-UE. Pre-UE is an option that also helps students to do CAPE subjects. What you want to keep in mind when you're doing a non-school program, like a non-high school program for, by the way, is there anybody here who was considering pre-UE? Because I don't even want to talk about things. Well, maybe someone on the recording is. So pre-UE would, or, you know, doing an online school. Someone asked, we recently had a client who was asking, can I do, instead of doing upper 6, could I just do online school instead? There are many accredited online schools that colleges accept the credits from, etc. We have students sometimes who, let's say they want to do engineering, but they decided late, so they haven't done the right advanced math. They can always do that course online. What you want to be careful of when you're doing a non-traditional high school option is that you still, well, first of all, remember I said it all depends on the end goal. So when you're doing a non-traditional high school option, the thing is that they don't have those same kind of extracurricular and leadership opportunities as traditional high schools. When you're applying to highly competitive universities, or you're looking for things like big scholarships, which a lot of our students are, and I'm sure I'm going to get amens in the chat for those big scholarships, right? They're going to want to see those things. They're going to want to see the leadership. They're going to want to see, the participation in these different things. You can build that outside of school, right? So you can your child can work in the community, your child can do research and volunteer, do summer programs, do all these performing arts, all kinds of different activities outside of school. But you would need to be conscious of that. And you and them would need to make sure that's happening. And for our students at AIM, we help them build out a plan that's geared toward maximizing their unique value proposition. It's a term we use a lot. And it means it's the thing about your child that's going to hook the college and help your child to get the scholarship, right? So you want to construct the extracurricular to support that narrative that we're building in the application according to your child's authentic interests and talents. So a lot of parents also ask, what extracurriculars are the right ones? Which ones will look good for college? And that's not what it's about. It's really about leaning into who your child really is and then taking it from there. We can get creative and build around that, but it's not about trying to figure out, oh, how can I make this college want me? It's like, how can I be the best me? And the best fit college will want you. That's the philosophy, right? Because we don't just want to get into college and be miserable. So the right pathway for your, direct university. We have to touch direct university. I don't know if we have any parents or students who might be in here whose child has wanted to go directly from fifth form into university. We have had many of those students. Every single year we have students who do not want to do CAPE at all. And so let me touch on that. Direct university after the CSEC or not having done these advanced courses of study, as I described, is going to make you less competitive for university. For parents who are here from the US system, you don't have a choice. They have to continue through and graduate from high school at grade 12. In Jamaica, they're actually, in the Caribbean, there are 2 graduation points, CXC and then CAPE. But Canadian universities don't even accept students who only have CSEC at all. You'd have to go to the Canadian college, which is basically a community college. And so it just does make you less competitive. It's possible to do at schools that aren't as competitive, but it makes it harder to get scholarships. And of course, you just are limited in terms of where you can apply. So which pathway is right for your teen really just depends on what their end goal after high school is. And determining that end goal some is really easy for some parents, because from their child was 3 years old, they wanted to be a fill in the blank. And for other parents, it's not as easy because your child might not know what they want to do. So this is where in AIM we do some detailed intake, we have personality assessments, all kind of things to help your child to find some, a greater sense of clarity and direction and purpose. We call it purpose discovery. And then that way we can look at where in the world and what types of schools would be a fit, and then help them to position themselves accordingly. So again, don't feel badly, parents, if you're like, but I don't even know what the end goal is. That's okay. That's something that we are here to help with. I firmly believe, I feel like I have extra authority as a mother of 4. And 5 is where it gets crazy. And so, and I also went through this process with my stepdaughter as well. She had no idea what she wanted to do before she decided on law. So don't feel bad. We are here to help. That's why we exist. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about local regional, and global pathway options. We have parents a lot, and we had a series of free assessment calls for the last few weeks. And what came out a lot was there are a lot of parents, for example, whose child wants to do medicine. So the problem is not that they don't know what they want to do, but then the path, the information around what the options are is just, it's incorrect information, for want of a better word. So parents think that, for example, there are all these scholarships available for their child to go directly to med school. That's not the case. Parents also have no idea what medical school costs. Parents think that the child can go to medical school in the US straight out of high school. That's not something that's possible, right? So it's just important to have the right information. No, local, regional, and global options. There's a question in the chat. Remember to put your questions in the Q&A for the most, please, so that we can make sure I'll actually see them. I'll get to that question afterwards. Now, when you look at the pathways, local, regional, and global, I mentioned that my stepdaughter is in law school. She's in law school at UWI Cave Hill in Barbados. And she is also a US citizen, by the way. But the reason that we chose that path was because she wanted to go directly into law school. And you can't go directly into law school in the United States. You have to do a 4-year degree and then go to law school. But if you are in the Caribbean or the UK, you can go directly to law school. Your child's personality counts, right? So she didn't want to be too far away from home. That's where the UK was not an option. She also wanted a change. So doing law school in Jamaica would not have been ideal for her. So, you can have these types of conversations and sort of figure out the best path. It was important for her to have a global experience as well, as much as possible. So some of the things that we have discussed with her is, at UWI, there are all these study abroad agreements with different schools. So on her hall, she has students from different Canadian schools and other schools in the US, etc., who are there for a student exchange for a semester or for a year. And she can also do that. And she thinks she might do it in Canada in her, I think, 3rd year. So it's possible to have a local or regional experience that's also global, depending. And then specifically for law, you can do a master's after that in the UK, and then, practice law in Jamaica after sitting the bar and doing the bar course. So there are all these different possibilities. So you want to definitely consider fit, and determining fit looks at cost, of course. How many children do you have? What is your budget looking like? What do the schools that your child is interested in or that have the major your child wants cost? What is their profile vis-a-vis possibilities for scholarships and that sort of thing? Area of study, as I said, studying law or medicine or veterinary science, those are not programs you can go directly into in the UK. Yes, you can in the UK. In Canada or the US, you can't go directly into these programs, right? So for some students, it's good because they don't really want to study medicine or law. They just think they want to study medicine and law. Last year, we had a pre-med, pre-law boot camp that helped students figure those things out. I don't really think this is the pathway. You don't know that much about it, so sometimes they need just more exposure. The type of environment, the type of education. So we're going to talk about that in the next slide. And then experience for your child, depending on where they go, how safe do you feel that they'll be and how safe will they be, things like that. So when you look at what system is the best based on the goals, there are some things to look at, right? So the USA, as I said, is really flexible. Classes are usually discussion heavy. You don't have to know what you want to study. You can study a broad range of things. It's good for exploration. In terms of Canada, it's more of a balance between the UK approach and the US approach. It's coursework and exams, similar to the US, but you have to be a bit more self-driven. It's a bit less, depending. Most Canadian universities are larger. They're all public, because the Canadian government does a great job of funding these amazing universities. In the UK, you have to know what you want to, meaning you're asked to what career you wanted, what, you know, you're expected to know those things, to write about them in your personal statement. It's exam heavy. If you fail the exam, you fail the entire year kind of thing. That's the kind of style. So it's not as much flexibility as you'd find in the other countries. And yes, you can go straight into law, medicine, veterinary science, all of those things. So just as you can see here, every system just has a different style. You want to just think about what is the best fit for my child, and, you know, have your child think about that. Again, it's sometimes hard for them to figure out what's the best fit for them. So we go through a whole process at AIM, with helping them, prodding them with specific questions that can help them to think through those things. And we'll give you some examples of those that you can use to have a fun discussion in the work that you're going to get. All right, so where was I? All right, so what are some common and costly mistakes that students make, that we definitely do not want you to make? And that's assuming that scholarships will cover all the costs. That's an assumption that's very dangerous. And they also assume that scholarships exist where they don't. And so that is very dangerous. If you are going to Canada or the UK, you are going to need money. Whereas the US has full ride scholarships, 100%. I have students right now who are getting back money. When they look in their student account, they have credits, okay? Because the school basically is paying them to come. Those don't really exist in the UK or Canada, right? So you're gonna need money in order to study in those places. Now, there are some scholarships. I did have a student this year get a Pearson scholarship from the University of Toronto, stipend. I mean, she will get money too, laptop, room, board, everything. But there are 37 of those awarded in the globe. No, she still got it. And we've had students get it many years, but that's just one for the whole of Jamaica. So, and I'm sure everybody applying to Canada, or most people applying to Canada, want to get that scholarship. So it's just about being balanced in the list. We know that there are many students and parents who, you know, say, okay, well, I don't want my child in the US. I don't want them to apply to the US. But the truth is, if you do want those large, big money scholarships, those are really in the US. They're definitely not in the UK. And they're really few and far between in Canada. So you have to have an idea of what you are able to spend, and then be, you know, targeted. Applying to schools without a financial plan is a super bad idea. Just applying to make sure that it aligns with your career goals is really important. And then of course, making sure that you don't miss key dates. And these are some of the key dates. We'll send these to you. I'm not gonna like talk through them because it's just, you guys can take a screenshot. You know, this is what some of these timelines look like. And this is why we say, you know, it's not 2 years if you subtract 2 when you want to start the SAT, because once the Common App and the applications get released, colleges start taking students. I had a student last year who got a scholarship in August, okay? Meaning, let's say you start in college next year, she got the scholarship this month, and she was starting college the following year. That's because colleges start taking applications. She submitted that application in August. You can imagine she was at the top of the pile in terms of applicants. So she was just considered first, right? So that's what happened there. Sorry, I just got distracted by something that's going on. Now, again, I would definitely say that parents often and students often think they have more time than they do. That's one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. You don't have all this time. You really just don't, right? So if you are in the class of 2027, now is the time. You can't be waiting any longer. You think you have time, but if you really want to come out on top, you don't have the time that you think that you have, and that's just the truth. I said it really clearly. I said that, I didn't say it. All right, we talked about exploring Caribbean opportunities. I just want to mention these areas as like areas where in the Caribbean region, there are really attractive programs that we've, known about, looked into, etc. Obviously, Law Med Vet is in Trinidad. The veterinary school is another area you can't direct apply to for the US or Canada. Logistics, Caribbean Maritime University is doing great things. Their kids are getting jobs all over the world. They're doing exchange programs. They have agreements with all these different schools all over the world. And if your child is interested in anything kind of logistics related, anything maritime related, you definitely want to look at those areas in the region. Okay, so I want to touch on the AI-proof majors and careers. And those are because AI is transforming everything. And I want to also mention that, we did a partnership with Microsoft this summer on an AI program, and you can't be preparing kids for the future or looking at, majors or colleges these days without considering the massive impact of AI in society and then also on jobs. 85 million jobs have shifted up to this point or don't exist because of AI up to 2025. It's going to continue, and even, I don't want to say worse, it's just the pace of change is going to be even more rapid. So you really want to make sure at the end of the day that your that your child is looking with a view to considering this impact of AI, right? So things like cognitive science, so psychology, things like that are important. I know that it used to be that parents didn't highly regard psychology because they were like, everybody does psychology. It's not a real major. You can't get a real job. That's not true. Human AI interaction and AI ethics, etc., is huge, huge, huge. This is not on this slide, but what's also really important is policy making. There's like all this policy work that's being developed and will continue to be developed around AI. Public health, biostatistics, biotechnology. I have a student who is going into that. The health policy, all of those things will continue to be really important. We have all these business majors all the time on entrepreneurship. That will continue to be extremely important. Things that require human interpretation will continue to be really important. EdTech is going to be important. So just designing learning experiences is going to be key. So that translates to some specific majors, and we could go on and on. I found some cool majors that are developed around these things, as well as traditional majors that maybe you didn't realize were related, that are related. So I'm sure I will be sending that out for sure. All right, so let's take a pause. We've talked about timing of when to do the SATs, when to get going. We talked about the different pathways, different opportunities that are available. What I really want to emphasize is that parents come to things like these and they get information and then they leave, and only some actually get the actual result, because people think that coming to a webinar is getting a result, but that's not getting a result. The result is when you execute. The result is when you take action. And so we definitely want to, I really want to pause to say that I don't want you to leave just having information. I want you to leave having taken action. And so I'm going to talk you through what the different action steps could look like. Number one, when you get the workbook, you need to use the workbook. You're going to get the workbook just outlining, it's gonna be, and you'll get the recording, so you'll get the slides and you'll get the workbook, so you can have these conversations with your child. The other thing I want to say is that the July SAT class and the June were both oversubscribed. And that meant we just had people trying to join at the point where we couldn't take any more students. Our college advising program 2026 is closed. We've had to turn students back from that as well. Starting late because you think you have time, or because you didn't make up your mind, or because it wasn't, you didn't think it was that urgent, is very dangerous. It costs parents so much money. It costs students missed opportunities. And at the end of the day, as parents, we want to just help our children maximize their potential. We want to facilitate them in being their best selves. That's our job. And so part of our job too is executing where it counts. And so we don't want you to then miss the next sign-on dates, which I'm going to talk about. The September class, we've rolled students who couldn't get into the July class over into September. And there is limited space on that. You are able to sign up for that tonight. I'm sure one of the AIM team will drop the sign-up links, but it's also on a slide as well. Now, let's talk about specifically what your child needs to, go down these different pathways and get to these exciting majors at these great schools that open up the world of opportunities for them. So number one is high scores. We're gonna have a session at some point that talks about just like the ins and outs of how these, I don't know if we're gonna have a session. Let me not promise that. Let's keep it, let's just focus right here. High scores are extremely important. Universities are cutting budgets, okay? They have had to cut budgets for various reasons, various policies. They've gotten funding cuts from the federal government. Like, universities are under pressure. They're under pressure. That means that their scholarship dollars are also under pressure. And if you want to get a scholarship, and a big scholarship, gone are the days where you're talking about, oh, the SAT is optional. It is not optional. If you want to maximize your chances and your scholarships, this year of all years is the year to be doing the SAT. I talked about this before, but let me tell you what else is happening affecting the scholarship budgets. US schools are not able to admit or matriculate as many Chinese or Hong Kong nationals because of the student visa thing. I don't know if you've heard that students from China and Hong Kong are not getting student visas approved. That's happening. Chinese students and Hong Kong students, why? Let me ask quickly in the chat. Let me ask quickly in the chat here. Parents, why do you think that's affecting the budgets of universities? Just give me two guesses. One guess. Anybody? Chelsea, thank you very much. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Thank you, Melisha. Exactly. That is what it is. Chinese students pay in full. That's what happens. Hong Kong nationals pay in full. They subsidize the students who are on financial aid. They subsidize the students who are getting scholarships. So if they're not coming, the financial aid budget is affected. And the whole operational budget of the school is affected. Right, Carson, you probably never thought of that. You're probably seeing the news about the Chinese and Hong Kong nationals, and you're like, oh, that's terrible. No, it's terrible for your child. They have other options. They can go and pay full in Canada. They can go and pay full in the UK, right? It's not just terrible for them. It might not even be terrible for them at all. It's terrible for the students who want scholarships, right? So this is a tough year that we're looking at, or next few years that we're looking at. And to put your child in the best position, you need to put your child in the best position. You need to have the high scores. You need to have reliable information based on your child's score and profile, not on what the child's friend at school or your niece from 3 years ago or what. This is a unique year. This is the first year that these different circumstances are coming together. No two children are the same. You think you know a lot about that person last year who did whatever. You can't see their whole profile, We see the profiles of students every single year. So this is where having experts and having the AIM expertise is really going to count. We also maintain networks of university relationships, which we've built over the past 15 plus years. So as soon as something happens, I get on the WhatsApp, we get on the phone with colleges for them to give us the updates. Like, is this really happening? What's really, how much money you really have? How much money you want a parent to have to apply? A school might cost 70,000, but they're gonna tell us, yeah, Nicole, so if they have 30,000, they should apply. But don't apply if you have less than 30,000, you're not gonna get in. Therefore, we don't make students waste time applying to schools. We know it's not gonna work out for them financially. And of course, you know, how many essays can your child write? How many schools can they apply to? They have to apply to the right fit schools, right? So you need reliable information that you can't Google, and you cannot ask ChatGPT either. It is what it is. A way to access data that's trusted and custom to your child. Frequent access to a human being who you can bounce ideas or questions off, who you trust that expertise. And then real college lists that have actually worked. And that sounds like what you would get in a one-on-one program. But no, that is not what you get in the one-on-one program at AIM. You get even more in the one-on-one program at AIM. But what you get all those things in the college gateway at AIM, which is the group program, which includes the SAT class, right? So you get all those things plus the SAT class, which would produce the high scores. The custom information, when you get a one-on-one consult, when the scores are released, you get how to write the college essay class. And we're going to show you real college essays that have worked and that haven't, and why, and how to write, not you, obviously your child. And then of course the real-time data that's organized for your child's profile. So you can see your child's score against the average scores of all these different schools, how much money they give, all right there. You don't have to be on Google searching around. You enter your child's data and then it gets customized. And you have all that information stored and real profiles for every single school. That's in the custom college app portal that you get. You get monthly application strategy group calls with a counselor. Again, a real human that you can say, well, I was thinking this. Is this the correct pathway? Is this the right thing to be thinking? Is this accurate? And then I talked about the custom college planning platform already. And then the college list. Number one problem, I don't even know if it's the number one, but one of them is huge, huge. We have so many people coming to us after they've applied to college. They get in, don't get the money, start GoFundMe, come to AIM, which scholarships can we apply for? No, that's not how it works. You're not going to go apply to a college and then get the bill and then apply for scholarships. That is not how it works. That's not how the system works. The success system hinges on you applying to the schools that are likely to give you money from their school. That way you get the money every year. It's a reliable source and it's big. These random scholarships will have you applying to writing 50 different essays for $500. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. You know, how many essays can you write? When you get, you know, even if you get 20 $500 scholarships, you still have 60,000 US dollars to find per year. It doesn't make sense. You know, you go for the big fish, and the big fish are the right colleges. So we will give you expert colleges that have actually worked for students in terms of which schools are giving the most money, which schools you don't even need to have need to go to. I mean, we have parents who have just come in panicked. How are we going to pay for this? How are we going to afford this? And when we lay out the system and then help them to get there, they're so relieved afterwards, because nothing beats that feeling of relief when you know as a parent, okay, I've given my child the best shot. And then, of course, you know, once the child puts in the work, because, you know, pick me up and do them part for sure. And it all works out. It's just such a feeling of relief. No, that's the group program. We also offer personal support. So we have the college advising program for right now open for the classes of 2027 and 2028. I'm going to tell you this. Let me ask here. Do we have parents who are in the class of 2027? Right now? Okay. Parents who are in the class of 2027. All right. I saw somebody raise their hand. Okay. So the college advising program for the class of 2027, there is a built-in cost incentive. Like there's a built-in financial incentive for you to start that program this year versus next year. Why? Because the price of the program is cheaper this year than it is next year. It's more expensive to do college advising in 2026 than it is to do it in 2025. And the program continues all the way through when you apply for college and then when you actually choose which college you want to go to. So it will last up to May of 2027. But if you start it in 2025, it's cheaper than if you start it in 2026. Now you're saying that doesn't make any sense, Amy. You're losing because it takes more time. You have monthly meetings. How come it's cheaper to do it to start it in 2025? It's cheaper to start it because it's easier for us as counselors actually to have success with students who start earlier. And we are interested in the success of students, not counting, oh, how many hours so that, we can maximize how much money we're making. I mean, of course, every business needs to pay attention to that, but we pay attention to results. So that means, yes, we give you more time and more meetings starting in 2025 for less money than if you start in 2026 when we have to be rushing and everything is just last minute and we have to, be basically taking what we have and, getting all. It's easier if you start earlier and we reward you for that by doing more work, okay? The PSAT program, we have our group doing the PSAT program right now, and we're gonna start a second group. Cornell, is it in September or October? I think Sharika is the one who was figuring out the timing on that. And it's low pressure. So the classes are 1.5 hours versus the SAT classes, which are longer. And then we do an assessment. It's in the context of the AIM Early program. So it's similar to the College Gateway in some ways, except that it's AIM Early. So it's tailored for younger students and less focused on, okay, go to this college or like specific college. So he starts, 2028 is the college advising program still. College advising program is 2028, but can be paired with the PSAT class. Yes, definitely, Sean. And we have students who have done that. Okay, so if you're asking why AIM at this point, I just, we've had thousands of families. It's been over 15 years, innumerable college relationships, which we leverage on behalf of our students. I'm an ROI girl, I'm a scholarship girl. Show me the money in terms of like, how is it saving parents? And let me tell you, when you invest a few, like, the SAT class, I recently heard that AIM has one of the less expensive SAT classes on the island. Certainly in terms of value, I will just lay it down that we have the best value program because there is no program that's going to include the number of things that we include. As I've shown you here, the number of things that we include for $1,150 is actually staggering. But again, I don't want to see students with a high score and then they can't go to the school that they want to go to or go to the school at all, or they didn't get the scholarship, they didn't know all these different things, but they have this high score. Because the high score is important, but that alone is not going to do it. And I can just put my head on the block that there's no better value program out there. But you just don't have a lot of time to sit there trying to make a decision. You need to take action now. And so in that vein, you can do that with Cornell can help. You just message him at send a WhatsApp to 876-276-8579. That's the number here on this slide. And as I said, if you're starting college in 2026 to 2028, you can enroll in the College Gateway. And if you are interested in the one-on-one college advising program, the SATs are included free as part of that. It's rolled into that program, so you wouldn't have to register for the SAT class separately from that program. Sorry, this is pregnant brain here. I'm very sorry. Sorry, starting college in 2026 to 2027 is College Gateway, and 2028 to 2030 is AIM Early, which includes the PSAT. So I would say if you are not sure after this, what the next move is, message Cornell. He's standing by right now. He's answering parents right now. I'm sure he's on. Cornell, are you on WhatsApp with parents right now? I'm pretty sure, knowing him, that he is. He is super available. He is super, looking forward to helping you. So you can always just send him. He says yes. He is answering WhatsApps right now. He spends so much time. Cornell has been traveling. He did a huge college tour this summer, all over upstate New York. How many colleges was it, Cornell? Like 7 or 8? Rihanna said earlier he was speaking with her, 10 colleges in 5 days. So Cornell is not just like trying to, get you into some random program. Like, his knowledge is very deep. And he is, traveling and visiting colleges. He is talking to college admissions reps. We don't just want our college counselors to have this knowledge and ability to guide you. We want our enrollment. When you talk to somebody at AIM about which program you should be in, or does this even make sense, or what should be the next move, it's not about selling you something. It's about giving you real, actual guidance. So in accordance with that, we invest in making sure that, the knowledge is deep, and, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's telling you. Before that, he was at another college tour for however long. So he's on the ground, and he knows how to give you excellent guidance. So definitely message him and take advantage of that resource. But signing on to the College Gateway is the critical thing. It starts September 27th. Seems like a lot of time, not a lot of time. And again, it's normally the most subscribed programs for SATs for the entire year. Last year, the September group was the largest group that we had. We keep the class size small, right? I mean, the largest overall number of students. And so we don't even have that many spaces, again, because of the rollover from July. So I would just really encourage you, parents, take it from a mother of 5. No, I'm being serious. Like, you procrastinate, you give yourself all kind of headaches. I'm all about the systems. I'm all about just like taking the action when I need to take it, so that it doesn't come down the line and stress me out. Parents, have you ever known that you have to do something and you're like, for whatever reason, you don't do it when you know you need to do it, or you're like, maybe I'll just do this myself, or maybe we can just figure it out, or the one I've heard the most, it's just an application. All we have to do is fill it in. That's not the case. A lot of people wouldn't even make the connection to Chinese students and their Jamaican child, but it exists. You don't even know what you don't know. And that's why we are here. I don't travel to so many schools in such a small period of time these days. But our team is just so, versed in all these things and in constant communication with colleges. We constantly have colleges reaching out to us for students. And so we're excited to welcome our new cohort. And we are excited. We have a parent here who needs to be added to the WhatsApp group. We also have WhatsApp groups for our SAT class, for our college advising. So students have access to tutors, to ask them questions, and, when they know who your child is, and if your child missed class, there's somebody there telling you that your child wasn't there and interested in why they weren't. You get one-on-one progress report meetings at 2 separate points to talk about what your child is doing, needs to do, and then another one to follow up, has my child actually done it. I love the program. And we've spent a lot of time and effort really just making sure that it is the best. And as I said, it is hands down the best value that you will find, I think, in the world. Certainly in this region, but definitely go ahead and message Cornell if you have any questions, and we really look forward to welcoming you. There were a couple of questions. One was, how hard is it to get into Harvard? That is very easy to answer. You gotta look at it. It's like 3% admit rate. That said, we have a student who was admitted to Harvard, but did not go because at the time they were embroiled in the student visa thing with the government. And so my student opted to go to MIT instead of going to Harvard. But don't be alarmed by a school's admit rate. It's just whether you have the profile or not, whether it's a fit for you or not. PSAT. PSAT starts with grade 8 students. Yes, PSAT starts with grade 8. Answer that. As a parent who does not want to accrue much debt, praise the Lord, preach it, not with 5 children. For my daughter's college education, does demonstrated interest really make a difference? So demonstrated interest is when you want to visit the school, or you sign up on their newsletter, or you go to one of their info sessions, or when they come to your school, etc. And I would definitely say that when it comes down to it, it can make a difference. It's not going to be the thing that gets your kid in or not in, but it can make a difference because these are human beings reading the app. So if you go and you show that, yes, you're interested in the school and you're not just adding it to the Common App because you could, then it does make a difference. Do other universities in Europe other than UK offer scholarships for international students? Yes, there are European schools that do offer scholarships for international students. Yes. Okay, vet school is you either do a 4-year degree in the US and then you have to do an entrance exam and then called the DAT, I think it's called. No, that might be the dental one. Dental school is also not an undergraduate program. So, or you can go to Trinidad and it's obviously science heavy. So you'd have to make sure you do science, and if you do advanced math, that's a plus. My daughter will be leaving sixth form 2029, like my daughter. Can she start the SAT classes? No, I wouldn't recommend SAT classes, no, but I would recommend PSAT. Somebody was answering the Chinese question. Awesome. If my child wants to start college in 2029, is it recommended to sign up for the college advising program? No. You sign up for the AIM Early program now. So my daughter, Lauren, who is in the class of 2029, is in the AIM Early program. Such a funny story. I am fascinated by being a parent on the other side of this. So of course, as the, one of the key designers of the AIM Early program, I know what they're covering. But when I ask my daughter, when she gets out of the meeting, tell me about the meeting. I get like, I don't know, 3 words if I'm lucky. And I'm like, wow, I understand parents, I don't even, but she does bring it up when I tell her something and she's like, actually, my AIM counselor told me that I should read before I go to bed because blah, blah, blah. It's really fascinating. And my son is also in AIM Early. He's class of 2031. And I said to him, was it a good meeting? Do you want to continue this? Because he can't force them to do anything, right? And he says, yes, it was useful. It's like, oh, okay, that's all I could get. I can't get any more details. So that's so just thought I'd share that. All right, can the 1,500 be paid over a period of time? Yes, it can. We have very attractive payment plans. Cornell can tell you all about them. We make sure to have the best payment plans. We have great payment plans. Okay. Repeat the WhatsApp number. It's on the screen right now, but it's 876-276-8579. I just want to also mention that the caliber of tutors and counselors that we have is really, I feel excited and thrilled to put my kids in front of them. And that's how I want you to know, that's how you are going to feel, because they're really unmatched. Like my kids' counselor, Sukenya has a degree in neuroscience. So she's helping kids, a master's in neuroscience. So not only is she, a great college counselor, but she's also helping the AIM Early kids to use the science of their brains to organize themselves and to get more focused and to plan and to, it's just amazing that we can bring this kind of talent to bear. She's not the only one. My daughter's coach, Chelsea, has 2 degrees from Johns Hopkins. It's just super inspirational for her, for Lauren to be able to be paired with. And parents, that you can't just tell your child what to do, and you can't be the one source of information for your child, because they're not, no matter how awesome we are as parents, they're not necessarily taking everything from us. So, one of our SAT students reported to us that they didn't feel like the tutor was just a tutor. It was more like a mentor. And that is what excites parents the most. And I think really sets AIM apart from just doing any other SAT program, because there's so many SAT programs and college advising options out there that you should fully explore. But I just love how we have so much talent, and, you know, the coaches, their passion for students and student success is really unmatched. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that. All right, so study abroad programs for a semester offer full scholarships. Yes, they do. The scholarships travel with the study abroad. Current restrictions and complexities in the US relating to international students. Make sure that what advice would I suggest? Like, just make sure your social media is really clean. You know that that's part of the student visa process nowadays. And you just also want to, we make sure that, you know, at the end of the day, we advise students, you know, that this is the climate, and you're going to want to make sure that, you know, you are on the right side of the law as a student visa holder. And that, you know, if there are protests happening on campus, you need to think carefully about what that means if you participate in that, and what are the different things that could put your student visa at risk. So it's just like, have the knowledge and move accordingly. All right. If I sign up for the AIM early program, do I need to do the initial strategy consult? So that's an excellent question. No, you don't need to do the initial consult to sign up, but I would, anybody that's going into a one-on-one program, or that wants to sign on to a one-on-one program with us, they can't just sign on to the program. You have to have a conversation with enrollment. So you can message Cornell right now, set up a call very easily, and talk more about the program. And then, you know, he's going to ask you some key questions to make sure that your child is a fit. Again, we want to make sure that kids in our programs are the fit for our program. So be sure to, so you don't have to do an initial strategy consultation is a really great thing to do. You know, and it's a no obligation, but you can go directly into the program if you have a call with Cornell first, and he just confirms that you are a fit. Okay, so that's what I'd say about that. So thank you for all of your questions. We have come to the end. Cornell, have I missed anything? Is there anything I need to remind anyone of? I'm on full baby brain. Thank you guys so much for your patience tonight and for being here with us. Again, just want to reiterate that you can get Cornell at 276-8579. Our September cohort starts on September the 27th. You definitely do not want to procrastinate on this one. And as I said, the AIM Early and College Advising programs are open now, but they won't be for very long. So please make sure, parents, that you take this information and you use it. And then look out for the workbook. Cornell and I will work hard to make sure that you get that tomorrow. And remember to have the conversation with your students after that, your children after that, and take it from there. You are so welcome. You have been excellent. All grounds covered. Thank you very much. Carson says, thank you for spending time with us and informing us of our options. You are so welcome. Thank you for being here with me. And I wish all parents the very best, most winning school year. Before you leave, I want to remind you of session 2. Session 2 is where we're going to talk about the Thrive system. And you're going to meet Sukenya, our resident neuroscientist, counselor, winning coach. Going to meet a few more of the coaching team of AIM, and they're going to talk you through the Thrive system and just different ways to, you know, work together with your child. So this is not about telling your child, you need to study more, or why you're not, you know, organizing yourself better, or why you're not doing this, or this is about a team effort to have the most successful, most winning school year. And that's what we all want. So thank you so very much. Again, you're welcome, Sherry. Thank you so much. Nads, you can go ahead and just message Cornell with that question. He'll be happy to answer that question for you. Yes, you can go straight into college with an interest in finance and civil engineering. Absolutely, directly. All right, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.